This is not a situation where you can do 5-year plans. We are working on basically 5-week plans from time to time. But the point is that government spending will be sustained, and we will certainly hit our budget targets regardless of the revenue environment. So we will not be reducing government expenditure, absolutely not. We will keep the pace of government spending up, but how much up is I mean, yes, I know lots of people want us to press the accelerator very hard and hit the floor with it, and I understand that, but we have many constraints that we have to manage under. So expenditure will be sustained. How much will it be increased is something that we will take as it comes. We've put 40 ministries that we see as low priority for the economy in the present context. I mean, priorities keep, in today's emergency, these are not priority ministries. Similarly, we have some very, if you like, more pure research kind of research and development projects. They're all on the back burner now. No luxuries for this year. We want to spend on essentials. And a lot of these are import intensive. So we've also cut back on import intensive budgets. So we're trying to make sure that the money that we do have is directed towards A, capital expenditure because of its high multiplier, B, the essential welfare expenditure like Manrega, food, cash transfers, which you think should be higher, but we think are quite substantial. So, I mean, this is in a sense what we're trying to do. I draw your attention to the GST Council discussions in December 2016 and January 2017, when this very at that time hypothetical question came up of what happens if the cess falls short of what needs to be paid as compensation. And at that time, it came up not in the context of a big macroeconomic shock. It came up in the context of what if the 14% was much more than the actual growth of GST revenue. And the then chairperson, Mr. Jaitley, after listening to specific requests from many states that the central government should give an underwriting of payment of the compensation from the consolidated fund, said, and it's on record, and you can check the minutes and I can give you the references if you like, he said that was not possible, that compensation would be paid only from the cess. And if the cess became inadequate to pay the compensation, the council would meet and evolve a strategy for making up the shortfall. It might include raising cess, which of course is not an option right now. Let's be very clear on that. Or, and I'm not verbatim, but I'm almost quoting his words. He said additional borrowing through extension of the cess. I want to point out that he did not say necessarily additional central borrowing, nor did he say additional state borrowing. So what I'm trying to say is this is not something that has just been imagined now. This question came up in 2016. States wanted a promise. The promise was not given by Mr. Jaitley. So we are not in breach of a promise that was not made. So how have we estimated it in our estimate of 97,000? We took the actual collections in 2019-20, which is available because that's a known figure, and we inflated it by 10%. Now, why 10%?
Nominal growth.
Because the budgeted nominal growth was 10%. So even if you take 5% real and 5% inflation, that would have given you 10%. So we said, let's take last year's actual GST collection. You know you collected it, so that was possible in the GST system. So to that extent, it is a feasible GST revenue. We're not imagining that figure. Inflate that by 10%, subtract the 1.14 to the power of n, and then you get this shortfall. That figures 97,000. The GSEC is the only part of it that is a benchmark for everyone else. The SDL is not a benchmark for anyone other than state corporations and PSUs of individual states. For the Government of India security is a benchmark not only for states, but for the entire private sector bond market too, because no one can have a rating better than the sovereign. So if the sovereign yield goes up, it has knock-on effects for people down the chain. So while there will be a yield effect either way, we just think that it would be more differentiated if it were done to SDLs, and which is why we have said that we'll actually pay an interest subsidy for the difference between the two, and we've offered to pay up to 0.5%. To our knowledge, the average yield gap is 0.43 last week. So I think so it's not as if we don't understand that, but we still think there is some benefit to this. Purely on the economic merits, I agree with you. But these are matters for, the central bank of the day, the Department of Economic Affairs to calibrate. But I think just as an academic point, I don't disagree.